Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Dare County is known as a vacation spot for many visitors to the Outer Banks, but it is also home to a major boat and fishing industry. Recently, though, the industry was threatened. Jeff Smith explains how migrating sand nearly blocked the path of this multi-million-dollar industry.
Look at how much bigger that crab is going to be when it comes out. Look at that there.
Getting these crabs from the ocean to the UNC Fishing Center has been a lot more of a challenge this year than in years past.
Well, it's a huge impact to commercial and recreational fishing and to tourism along the Outer Banks. And I'm still very hopeful that the local commissioners and the folks in Dare County will help pitch in and fund an effort to keep the inlet open.
It was holding up well up until about last October, November. And then over a series of storms, the spit that came off Body Island grew to the south considerably, and it crossed the entrance channel coming to the bridge. And so that caused shoaling that normally a channel that would be 14 feet deep as much as 3 feet deep. And so obviously that shut down the fishing season for any boats trying to get out.
For 6 weeks we never landed our trawlers unloaded in Virginia. You know, we didn't have any fish here, you know, so what that does, you know, everybody ever having your niches, you know, you have niches in Swan Court or Englehart, you know, places that people sell fish. When you take all the boats and you go to one port, you have a glut of fish, you know, and so we couldn't buy any, you know, of course we have a fish house there, but the other fish houses that, you know, that buy fish up and down North Carolina coast, they don't get these fish.
Mikey Daniels, like so many other fishermen and fish house owners in the UNC Seafood Park on the south end of Roanoke Island, took a financial hit this spring when the main inlet they used to get from the Sound to the ocean was blocked by grains of sand.
Everybody's trying to get around it and dredge a little bit here and dredge a little bit there. In the last 10 years, we spent $100 million, and look what we got. And so it's just a never-ending battle, and we got to fix it.
How much money you spend on it, how much you dredge, it doesn't matter in some cases when Mother Nature decides to take it back and regain some of the ground. So,
Body Island on the north side of the Oregon Inlet is continuously trying to migrate its sand to the south to meet up with Pea Island. The two islands were one until a hurricane created the inlet in 1846. Now, to keep the two islands separate, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dredges the sand back away from the navigation channel that boaters use to get to the ocean.
It's actually a balance, it's a combination of not only the Corps-owned dredges doing maintenance, but also to have contract dredging operations on a periodic basis to actually remove all of the sand and bypass it to Pea Island to the south and to actually get it completely out of the inlet. And so, you know, that's the part of the balance we haven't been able to do.
That's the only way we can get outside to go offshore, not only for Coast Guard response to assist mariners who are in danger, but also for the recreational boater to get offshore to go fishing, and along with the charter boats so they can keep running their businesses, and also for the fishing community for the larger boats that get through to drop off their catch back in Wanchese.
In April of 2011, the Coast Guard was prepared to close the inlet to vessels for safety because the south end of Body Island had migrated in front of the entrance to the only protected bridge spans, and shoaling had progressed to limit the passable depth of ships.
This is a federal issue. The state can never have the resources to dredge and keep all of the waterways and the ports of North Carolina barrier-free. The federal government's responsibility is to help national and international transit over our waterways, and they're shirking their responsibility simply and clearly. It's a federal objective.
The Army Corps used a side casting dredge called the Merit to begin dredging the channel to a workable 8 feet before bringing in a specialty dredge called the Currituck.
Once they get water in the hopper to be able to bring the sand in, now they're bringing sand in. See the difference in color?
The side casting, which is a really actually good way of dredging, but it'll put the material off to the side. It'll, as a pipeline that hangs in the air, and the material goes into the water. And but the material always stays right next to where you're dredging, and it can come right back in. Where a dredge like this, puts the material in the hopper, and we can take it to a designated site.
Prior to the dredging of the Currituck from the Army Corps of Engineers, we were seeing depths of 3 to 4 feet in a center span, so it was difficult for the larger vessels to get through, and it was extremely hazardous for any boating traffic to make it through the center span.
While the inlet is back open to traffic and the navigation channel is back to 14 feet, the issue is not being washed away.
Jetties were authorized in 1970, and nobody wants to hear the word jetty or a groin. Groin is the only answer for Organ Inlet. And, you know, that's what we got to have. You know, this Band-Aid approach is not working. They're wasting money. You know, we need to fix the inlet. And the only way to establish an inlet is to put groins or jetties on both sides. That is the only way.
We definitely can't be Mother Nature, but we do our best at it. You know, this inlet is about the most dynamic area I've seen. 20 years of doing this, and it's just amazing. I've watched material, I've watched that thing come in 20, 30 feet one day, and then the next day it's gone by Mother Nature, which is something we couldn't possibly do.
Jetties and groins are not being allowed, according to Daniels, because the south end of Body Island is managed by the federal parks and wildlife groups, and they'll not permit the jetties to stop the flow of sand into the inlet. The state is working on its own solution too. A new bridge will be built to replace the aging Bonner Bridge.
Again, we're hopeful that something short-term can happen. The answer, quite frankly, is the new bridge. The new bridge will end this discussion once and for all as we open up a much larger inlet. But right now it is what it is, and our folks need help from Washington.
The bridge is not the answer, because I don't care what you get, you got to stop the sand from migrating down the beach. And when the sand comes down, migrate down the beach, it's gonna keep right on moving, and it won't work.
So for now, the dredging is stopped, with the Army Corps of Engineers saying the natural wind and current change coming from the south and west throughout the summer months means the inlet should remain clear until fall. Then it's up to Mother Nature again.
When you dredge 12 hours a day and Mother Nature works 24 hours a day, then depending on what the season's doing, you're not going to keep up with it.
I'm hopeful. Right now we have, it looks good. Like I said, most of the boats are returning back from moving to other ports, and the fishing community is starting to pick up here.
The Army Corps of Engineers uses satellite photos to map the migration of the sand. To see the maps or to learn more about the inlet, go to our website, unctv.org/NC Now. Click on the web link section.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.